They fired me after building their system, then paid 3x to rent it back. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. Drop a comment below. What's the most shocking betrayal you've ever witnessed? Share your thoughts with our community. Sarah Martinez had always been the kind of person who saw solutions where others saw problems. At 34, she'd already made a name for herself in the tech world, but when Pinnacle Financial reached out with an offer she couldn't refuse, she knew this was her chance to build something truly revolutionary. "We need a complete overhaul of our client management system," explained Robert Chen, Pinnacle's CTO, over lunch at Romano's downtown. "Our current setup is a nightmare. Clients are frustrated, our staff is drowning in paperwork, and we're hemorrhaging money." Sarah leaned forward, her eyes lighting up. "What's your timeline?" 2 years. "We need someone who can handle the entire project from conception to implementation. The board has approved a substantial budget." The offer was impressive, $180,000 annually, plus bonuses tied to project milestones. But what really caught Sarah's attention was the creative freedom. They wanted her to build something from scratch, something that would revolutionize how Pinnacle handled their high net worth clients. "There's just one thing," Robert added, stirring his coffee. "Given the complexity and our timeline, we'd need you to retain ownership of certain core components. It's actually better for us, less liability, more flexibility for updates and modifications." Sarah's pulse quickened. Retaining ownership meant she'd have leverage, something she'd learned was crucial in the corporate world. "That works for me." As they shook hands outside Romano's, Sarah felt that familiar thrill of a new challenge. She'd built systems for Fortune 500 companies before, but never with this level of autonomy. Never with this level of potential. What she didn't know was that Robert Chen was already planning her exit strategy. The contract arrived 3 days later, dense with legal jargon but clear on the crucial points. Sarah would design, develop, and implement Pinnacle's new client management system. She would retain intellectual property rights to the core authentication and data processing modules, the heart of the system. Pinnacle would have unlimited usage rights as long as Sarah remained employed. She signed without hesitation, already envisioning the architecture in her mind. The trap was set, and Sarah had just walked into it willingly. Sarah threw herself into the project with the intensity of someone who'd found their life's work. She rented a small office space near Pinnacle's headquarters, creating her own development sanctuary complete with whiteboards covering every wall and a coffee machine that worked overtime. The first 6 months were pure magic. Sarah's system began taking shape, an elegant fusion of artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, and user-friendly interfaces that would make managing million-dollar portfolios as simple as online banking. "This is incredible," whispered Janet Torres, Pinnacle's head of client relations, as Sarah demonstrated an early prototype. "Look how it automatically flags suspicious transactions while learning each client's spending patterns. Our compliance team will love this." But it was the core authentication module that made Sarah's system truly special. Using cutting-edge biometric integration and blockchain verification, it could process client identities and authorize transactions faster than anything on the market. Sarah had coded every line herself, working 18-hour days fueled by Thai takeout and the thrill of creation. "You're a genius," Robert Chen told her during one of their weekly check-ins. "The board is thrilled with the progress reports." What Robert didn't mention was that those same board meetings included increasingly frequent discussions about cost optimization and post-implementation staffing adjustments. By month 12, Sarah's system was handling live transactions for Pinnacle's top-tier clients. The results were staggering: processing times cut by 75%, client satisfaction scores at all-time highs, and operational costs plummeting. "We're saving nearly $2 million annually just in reduced processing time," Robert announced at the company all-hands meeting, though he conspicuously failed to mention Sarah's name. Sarah noticed the omission but pushed the concern aside. She was too busy perfecting the final modules, adding features that would make the system practically irreplaceable. Machine learning algorithms that adapted to market volatility, predictive modeling that could forecast client needs weeks in advance, security protocols that made Fort Knox look casual. As the 2-year mark approached, Sarah felt a pride she'd never experienced before. She'd built something magnificent, something that would change how financial institutions operated forever. The irony was delicious. In her dedication to creating the perfect system, Sarah had made herself perfectly expendable. At least, that's what Robert Chen believed. Sarah threw herself into the project with the intensity of someone who'd found their life's work. She rented a small office space near Pinnacle's headquarters, creating her own development sanctuary complete with whiteboards covering every wall and a coffee machine that worked overtime. The first 6 months were pure magic. Sarah's system began taking shape, an elegant fusion of artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, and user-friendly interfaces that would make managing million-dollar portfolios as simple as online banking. "This is incredible," whispered Janet Torres, Pinnacle's head of client relations, as Sarah demonstrated an early prototype. "Look how it automatically flags suspicious transactions while learning each client's spending patterns. Our compliance team will love this." But it was the core authentication module that made Sarah's system truly special. Using cutting-edge biometric integration and blockchain verification, it could process client identities and authorize transactions faster than anything on the market. Sarah had coded every line herself, working 18-hour days fueled by Thai takeout and the thrill of creation. "You're a genius," Robert Chen told her during one of their weekly check-ins. "The board is thrilled with the progress reports." What Robert didn't mention was that those same board meetings included increasingly frequent discussions about cost optimization and post-implementation staffing adjustments. By month 12, Sarah's system was handling live transactions for Pinnacle's top-tier clients. The results were staggering: processing times cut by 75%, client satisfaction scores at all-time highs, and operational costs plummeting. "We're saving nearly $2 million annually just in reduced processing time," Robert announced at the company all-hands meeting, though he conspicuously failed to mention Sarah's name. Sarah noticed the omission but pushed the concern aside. She was too busy perfecting the final modules, adding features that would make the system practically irreplaceable. Machine learning algorithms that adapted to market volatility, predictive modeling that could forecast client needs weeks in advance, security protocols that made Fort Knox look casual. As the 2-year mark approached, Sarah felt a pride she'd never experienced before. She'd built something magnificent, something that would change how financial institutions operated forever. The irony was delicious. In her dedication to creating the perfect system, Sarah had made herself perfectly expendable. At least, that's what Robert Chen believed. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, sterile and corporate in its brutality. "Due to organizational restructuring and the completion of the client management system project, your position has been eliminated effective immediately. Please report to HR for exit procedures." Sarah stared at her laptop screen in her small office, surrounded by the whiteboards that had been her companions for 2 years. The coffee machine hummed in the corner, oblivious to the fact that its services were no longer needed. Her phone buzzed. "Robert Chen." "Sarah, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Budget cuts, you understand. The board decided that with the system complete, we need to focus on operational efficiency. You're firing me." Sarah's voice was steady, but her knuckles were white as she gripped the phone. "It's not personal. You did amazing work. We'll provide an excellent reference, and your final paycheck includes a generous severance package. What about system maintenance? Updates? The quarterly security protocols I built in?" A pause. "We have capable people who can handle that." Sarah almost laughed. Capable people who had no idea how her authentication module worked, who couldn't read the proprietary code she'd written, who would panic the moment anything went wrong. "Robert, you realize I own the core components, right? The authentication system, the data processing engine. Actually, Sarah, you might want to review your contract. While you retain ownership, our usage rights are quite comprehensive. Thanks again for everything." The line went dead. Sarah pulled up her contract, reading with the focus of someone whose life depended on it. There it was, buried in subsection 12.3, employee retains intellectual property rights to core components, with unlimited usage rights granted to Pinnacle Financial during and after employment period, subject to standard maintenance and support obligations. She'd been so focused on retaining ownership that she'd missed the fine print. Pinnacle had the right to use her system forever, with or without her. But as Sarah read further, a slow smile spread across her face. The contract was clear about one crucial detail: she retained ownership and control of the authentication module. And that module was the heart of everything. Without it, Pinnacle's entire system would crash within hours. Robert Chen had just made the biggest mistake of his corporate career. Within 6 hours of Sarah's termination, Pinnacle Financial discovered their first problem. "Why is the authentication system running slow?" Janet Torres called from the client relations floor. "Mrs. Patterson's transfer has been pending for 20 minutes. Dave Kim, Pinnacle's lead IT technician, stared at his monitors with growing panic. "I'm not sure. Everything looks normal on our end." What Dave didn't understand was that Sarah's authentication module included an automatic maintenance protocol. Every 72 hours, it would run diagnostic checks, optimize performance, and update security parameters. Sarah had always handled this personally, but now, "Dave, we've got bigger problems," shouted Marcus Webb from the trading floor. "The Henderson account is frozen." The system won't authorize any transactions over $50,000. By day 3, Pinnacle's phones were ringing non-stop. High net worth clients who were accustomed to instant service were facing delays that stretched into hours. The system that had made Sarah famous was slowly strangling itself without her guidance. Robert Chen paced his corner office, loosening his tie as Janet Torres delivered the morning damage report. 17 major clients have called in the last hour, she said, consulting her tablet. The Morrison family is threatening to move their entire portfolio to Goldman Sachs. That's $12 million in assets. What's the technical issue? Dave says the authentication module is becoming increasingly restrictive. It's flagging legitimate transactions as suspicious and requiring manual overrides for everything. Robert's jaw tightened. He'd been so focused on eliminating Sarah's salary that he'd underestimated her system's complexity. Can we fix it? Dave's been trying, but he says the core code is, his exact words were, like trying to read Shakespeare in quantum physics. Meanwhile, Sarah was enjoying her morning coffee at Starbucks, reading the flood of LinkedIn messages from headhunters. Her phone buzzed with a text from her former colleague, Jenny Morrison. Girl, what did you do to that system? Dave's been under his desk crying for 2 hours. Sarah smiled, typing back, I didn't do anything. I just stopped doing something. The beautiful thing about Sarah's authentication module was that it had been designed to be unhackable, even by Pinnacle's own IT team. Every security protocol, every update mechanism, every diagnostic tool required her personal authorization codes. Robert Chen was about to learn a very expensive lesson about the difference between using someone's work and understanding it. By the end of the first week, Pinnacle Financial was hemorrhaging clients like a sinking ship. We need to call her, Dave Kim pleaded during the emergency board meeting. I've been through every line of code I can access, and it's like she built a digital fortress. I can't even see how the authentication protocols work, let alone modify them. Board Chairman William Hayes, a man who'd built his reputation on never showing weakness, looked older than his 65 years. What's our client retention looking like? Janet Torres consulted her reports grimly. We've lost $47 million in assets this week. The Morrison family transferred to Goldman yesterday. The Henderson account is threatening to sue us for breach of fiduciary duty. This is ridiculous, Robert Chen interjected. It's just software. We can hire another developer, rebuild the system. In how long? William's voice was sharp. And at what cost? We're losing clients daily. Dave Kim shook his head. Rebuilding would take at least 18 months, maybe 2 years. And that's assuming we can match the functionality Sarah built. Her machine learning algorithms alone would take a team of 6 people a year to recreate. The room fell silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. There's something else, Janet added quietly. Sarah's system isn't just failing, it's getting worse. The authentication module seems to be learning that she's not here. It's becoming more restrictive every day. This was Sarah's masterstroke, though she'd never had to explain it to Pinnacle. The system's AI had been trained to recognize her interaction patterns. Without her regular input, it interpreted the situation as a potential security breach and automatically increased protection protocols. Get me her number, William Hayes said finally. Sir, she might not. Get me her number. Robert Chen felt his stomach drop. 3 months ago, he'd been the hero who'd completed the project under budget. Now he was watching his career circle the drain in real time. Meanwhile, Sarah was fielding calls from 3 different Fortune 500 companies, each offering her signing bonuses that exceeded her entire annual salary at Pinnacle. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Sarah Martinez. Ms. Martinez, this is William Hayes from Pinnacle Financial. I believe we need to talk. Sarah's smile could have powered half of Manhattan. Hello, Mr. Hayes. I was wondering when you'd call. They met at the Four Seasons, neutral ground that couldn't be more different from Sarah's small office or Pinnacle's sterile conference rooms. William Hayes had chosen the location carefully, elegant, expensive, a place where serious deals were made. Sarah arrived wearing her best suit, carrying a leather portfolio that contained exactly 3 sheets of paper. She'd learned long ago that confidence was the most important accessory in any negotiation. Ms. Martinez, thank you for coming. William stood as she approached the table. I believe we have a situation that could benefit from your expertise. I believe you have a situation that requires my expertise, Sarah corrected, settling into her chair. There's a difference. William Hayes was a man who'd negotiated billion-dollar mergers, but something about Sarah's calm demeanor unsettled him. She held all the cards, and they both knew it. Our system seems to be experiencing some difficulties since your departure. Your system is experiencing exactly what I designed it to experience, Sarah replied, opening her portfolio. When I built the authentication module, I included several security protocols that activate when standard maintenance procedures aren't followed. And those procedures require me. William leaned back in his chair. What would it take to get you back? Sarah slid a single sheet of paper across the table. I'm not coming back, but I am willing to provide consultation services. William's eyes widened as he read. This is 3 times your previous salary. That's my daily rate. Daily, for remote consultation. If you need on-site work, it's 5 times the daily rate. And there's a minimum commitment of 6 months. William did the math in his head. They were talking about over $1.5 million for 6 months of consultation work. This is highway robbery. Sarah smiled. No, Mr. Hayes, this is market rate for proprietary system maintenance. I've done my research. Equivalent systems lease for $50,000 monthly. Mine is better than anything on the market. We could rebuild. You could try. Dave Kim estimates 18 months, but I think he's being optimistic. My system includes 17 proprietary algorithms that took me 2 years to develop. Good luck explaining to your clients why they need to wait 2 years for basic functionality to return. William Hayes had built his career on knowing when he was beaten. This was one of those moments. There's one more thing, Sarah continued. I'll need a formal apology from Mr. Chen, in writing, acknowledging that my termination was a strategic error. Sarah, Ms. Martinez. William nodded slowly. Ms. Martinez, you drive a hard bargain. Mr. Hayes, I solve expensive problems. Your choice is simple, pay my rate, or watch your company collapse. She stood, leaving the contract on the table. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, my rate doubles. The contract was signed within 12 hours. Sarah's home office had never looked better. 3 monitors displayed Pinnacle's system diagnostics, her coffee maker was upgraded to a professional model, and her bank account had grown by more than she'd made in her entire previous year. But the best part was the email that arrived on her first day as a consultant. Dear Ms. Martinez, I want to formally apologize for the circumstances surrounding your departure from Pinnacle Financial. Upon reflection, it's clear that terminating your employment was a strategic error that failed to account for your unique and irreplaceable expertise. I take full responsibility for this oversight. Respectfully, Robert Chen, CTO. Sarah forwarded the email to her personal account, then got to work. Within 3 hours, Pinnacle's authentication system was purring like a well-tuned Ferrari. Transaction times dropped to their previous levels, client complaints evaporated, and the phones stopped ringing with angry millionaires. Sarah, Ms. Martinez, Dave Kim's voice was grateful over the video call. I can't thank you enough. The system is running better than ever. That's what happens when you properly maintain sophisticated technology, Sarah replied, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. 6 months later, Pinnacle's board faced a choice, continue paying Sarah's consulting fees or risk another system failure. They chose to offer her a permanent consulting contract at $500,000 annually, nearly 3 times her original salary, for minimal maintenance work. Sarah counter-offered with a licensing agreement. Pinnacle would pay her $50,000 monthly to use her authentication system, with automatic annual increases and a 10-year minimum commitment. They signed without argument. 2 years after being fired for budget optimization, Sarah was earning more from Pinnacle than she'd ever dreamed possible. She'd also licensed similar systems to 4 other financial institutions, each paying premium rates for technology that Pinnacle had foolishly discarded. Robert Chen, meanwhile, had been quietly transferred to a strategic planning role, corporate speak for career purgatory. Sarah's favorite part of the whole experience was the Christmas card she received from William Hayes, to Ms. Martinez, who taught us the true value of irreplaceable talent. Respectfully, William Hayes, Chairman, Pinnacle Financial. She framed it and hung it above her coffee machine. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being so good at what you do that people have no choice but to pay you what you're worth, even after they try to throw you away. Especially then.